Good evening, everyone. We are going to start fairly soon. It's now 7 o'clock. Good evening, and welcome, Brian. And we'll wait. Give it about 2 or 3 minutes for people to catch up. We've had about 70 odd people register for this webinar, but at the moment we've only got a couple of people there. So we will just give everybody a couple of minutes to pop on board, and welcome to you all. I hope it's nice and sunny where you are, and we'll do some introductions and some housekeeping and stuff in around about 2 or 3 minutes. Just gives a bit of a break. I would put on some background music, but that is beyond me technically just at this point in the process. But we will be talking about taking your career to the next level with IT Masters and Charles Sturt University as soon as we get a couple more people to come on. Including the note takers, etc. We've got probably as many note takers as people at the minute. AI is such a delightful thing. Okay, I will turn my mic off just a second and we'll be back in about 2 minutes. Thanks, everyone. Okay, so it looks like it will be a little while before we get everybody on board, but let's kick off anyway and welcome aboard. I don't want to hold anybody up tonight. Thank you for spending your evening with us for the next 45 minutes to an hour or so, where we talk about taking your career to the next level with IT Masters and Charles Sturt University. I'm Shane Murphy. I'm the sales and marketing person at IT Masters, have been for the last 3 or 4 years. And with me is Nikita, or Nikki Ellis, who is one of our course advisors and has been here mostly the same amount of time as me. How are you, Nikki?
Good, thanks. Thanks, Shane. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Yes. I will start off with one. I'm not sure whether you call an announcement or a mea culpa or what you would like. When we first sent the invites out for this webinar, we were promoting it as around being the last chance to get your Commonwealth supported places in the current session 75 and 90. What has actually happened now is that we've run out, I'm afraid to say. So if you are only interested in hearing about Commonwealth supported places, you can probably bow out in the next couple of minutes or whenever you like. We've unfortunately or otherwise used all our allocation of Commonwealth supported places for 2025 as far as we know. There is a slight chance we might get some more because we're certainly asking for those things to happen. But I just thought I'd let you know up front so that you don't get too extra disappointed as we go along. But we'll talk to you about what else happens. Now, let's start off with who are IT Masters? We've been around for quite a long while. In fact, we probably built the online IT Masters degree space to a certain extent in Australia and have led it for nearly every year in the past 22 years since we started back in 2002 as a little small company. We've only ever worked with Charles Sturt University. It's been our bread and butter. We've been very close partners with Charles Sturt all that time. You can see one year here where one of the universities beat us by a country mile, but that was during COVID. And we think what happened was they just reclassified all their students as online that year because they suddenly went back to, very small numbers immediately after that. So this is us here. And if you compare each of the little sticks apart from that green one with all the others, we've always been slightly ahead of the rest. You can see it peaked at our high in COVID, up right around there when everybody had plenty of time and Commonwealth supported places came in, and then it slowly dropped away a bit since. Where 2023 is the last year that we have data for. We wait every day for the education department to give us more, but as yet, not so much. So yeah, we've been the largest provider for a while. The partnership is also unique. No other university partnership, to my knowledge, is structured in quite the same way as the one between Charles Sturt and ourselves, in that we do everything 50-50 pretty much. We do the marketing and the sales, if you like, of the courses, and Charles Sturt provide the infrastructure and the online tools, etc. But we teach and design the teaching of half the subjects, and Charles Sturt design and teach the other half. Usually, if university partners are working with universities, what they tend to do is to teach the university's curriculum. We go a little bit further than that because we always had a vision that our courses were designed to be much more aligned with what's happening in the industry. Our founders came from the industry. They came from places like Dimension Data and Telstra and places like that, rather than from a specifically education background. And so they always wanted to provide education that was aligned to what their companies actually needed and what they could teach. And so we very much try and do that in what we're teaching in our subjects. The other thing we do is we try and focus on how it is we can help you as students and prospective students achieve your goals, because ultimately this is a big investment. It's a big part of your life study, and we want to help you get to where you want to go. That's what it's all about. When not just, a sausage factory, if you might like, in those words. By the way, Nikki and I are going to swap back and forth a little bit, but I've got a little bit of upfront yabba to do. For those of you who don't know, our biggest courses are in cybersecurity. We have a Master of Cybersecurity and a Graduate Certificate of Cybersecurity. There are plans that we might be able to announce something new on that later in the year, but that's where we stand at the moment. And they are by far and away our most popular and most populated courses. I believe they have a very good reputation in the industry. Everybody that I speak to has nearly always spoken to somebody else who's done one of our courses and got a recommendation before they embark. We do a Master of Project Management because IT is all project management these days. So our Project Management Master is very much focused around IT examples and IT requirements. So things like Agile and the like are very much brought to the front with that. There's also a graduate certificate and a graduate diploma in the Master of Project Management. We've been doing forever. In fact, our first course was a Master of Networking and Systems Administration, and that is good, solid NSA stuff. It's been around. It continues to produce good results, as does our Master of Cloud Computing and Virtualization, which is like a refresh and an update and a slightly different take on what happens in NSA. The two courses are very similar in many respects and share a lot of the same subjects at their core. A little bit after that, we started doing an MBA, and our MBA is also, like our overall partnership, unique. Our MBA is probably the only one in which you do half of your core subjects as the usual MBA type subjects, management subjects, and then the other half you get to be able to choose a specialization. And the specialization could be project management or cybersecurity or cloud or any of the other parts of our courses that you do. And that way, what you're doing is you're not only getting a management qualification, you're also getting to, do a deep dive on your speciality. It's particularly helpful if you haven't done any higher ed or postgrad prior, because it gets you into the whole scheme of things and achieves both your aims at once. You come out with an MBA and you come out with something that's really focused on where you want to be. Finally, the most recent addition was a graduate certificate in computing career transition, which is a gobbledygook mouthful. But what it really means is this is a sampler graduate certificate. It's designed for people who want to get into IT. They might be in an adjacent career or even a completely different career. Virtually any reasonable work experience can get you in, and we can talk to that later on. But once you're in, all the subjects that are in the graduate certificates in the other areas are available to study in the graduate certificate of computing, which means you get to sample what it is that you want to continue studying in more details when you move into a master's program, for example. And so it's a really good introduction to IT, and it gives you the most amount of flexibility that you're going to get anywhere in coming into an IT course. I should also mention, by the way, that if you've got a question for us, and feel free to chat in the webinar chat. It's always a little bit harder when there's only, a dozen people or so in the system, but please put your little chats in the chat if you want to talk to each other. If you've got a question for Nikki or I, then please put it in the question Q&A slot. Because there's only not a lot of us, we'll probably be able to answer most of them as we go along. We don't use the hand raise thing. I noticed somebody tried to put their hand up then. We don't generally use that. We will come back to the questions as we go along. So feel free to pop them in there, and one of us will respond to it as soon as we see it. So, Nikki, why should you study for an IT Masters?
Thanks, Shane. I think, whether you're already sort of working in the IT industry and space, like a lot of you obviously will potentially already be, or whether you are looking for a career change, it's a space where you do, I believe, need to continuously be learning, as it's always moving and changing and evolving. So educating yourself, whether it be through postgraduate study or other avenues, is something that's required in IT. Upskilling, always a necessary part. So people do it for a reason. There's a lot of value in getting a master's in a professionalized stream of IT, especially cybersecurity, as that sort of continues to change and evolve as well. So obviously the most obvious reason for that is career progression, earning a higher income, becoming more upskilled in deeper areas, in cloud, cyber networking, for example. Yeah.
Okay, so as we move on from them, what we thought about is what's special about Charles Sturt as well. We talked about it and IT Masters. Um, Often I'll say Charles Sturt and I mean IT Masters. See IT Masters and I mean Charles Sturt. And I've just answered the question. I don't know if everybody has seen it, but Samir asked if our courses are all online. They're 100% online, and that's why we've been doing that ever since the beginning of the course. In fact, in the old days, we used to mail out books, and people would get online on their little dial-up modems. But it's very different now, and for the last 10 years, it's been completely and utterly online. All the information is there. You don't need to ever go into the university to do anything. So yeah, our students are special to us. We have so many people that are ahead in the industry. In fact, quite a number of our mentors, as we call them, our lecturers, are people who studied with us first, 5, 6, 10 years ago, whatever it is. And many of them have actually done multiple courses with us. So if you look this year, for example, our last year's student, Lauren Veenstra, who's been with us for a while doing their masters, they won the overall CSU medal, which Charles Sturt only give that if there is somebody that's worthy. It's not a given that they actually give it out most years. And Lauren won that medal for being not only a great student with I think a 4.6 or something great. I can't remember her GPU, but it was her grade point average GPA was, but it was very high. But on top of that, Lauren got involved in the university, in working with other students, in working on the student council, things like that. So you can still be very involved as an online student in university life and be a part of it. What we try and do though is we try and sort of, keep in touch with our students and look after you. That doesn't mean that we're going to tell you the answers to the study questions, because that's not what we're about. Our students actually are very high performing as a rule. Charles Sturt tell us that, in general terms, our students tend to do a little bit better. They tend to get higher marks. They tend to finish their courses more often. And these are people who nearly always are juggling family, jobs, study, second jobs, all sorts of stuff. They're people who are really well committed. Most of our students fall somewhere in the age of sort of, early 30s to mid to late 40s, although we have people on the other side of it. But it is that sort of, cohort of people who have been around for a while, they've got some experience, they know what they want to do, and they really get stuck in. So we're really proud of our students, and we really try and do our best to make sure that your experience in studying with us is as good as it possibly can be, even to the extent of if something goes wrong with something that's a Charles Sturt sort of area, we will try and assist where we can, either by just directing you where to go, sometimes intervening with Charles Sturt on your behalf. And that's what we call like student first, I guess. We really do try and do that. And it's not like when I was at school, when our school teachers used to say, oh, when you get to uni, nobody will help you with anything. We try and go a bit above and beyond that so that people feel that they're well supported. But what about our mentors, Nikki? I
Yep, I think we
actually,
just moved the slides. Yeah.
yeah,
Thanks,
there we go.
Shane.
I'm moving the slides on the wrong screen, but there we go. So that's Lauren. And let's have a look at our mentors.
Yeah. So like to Shane's point, the something that's quite unique with CSU and the IT Masters partnership is that the courses are 50-50 split with industry and academic subjects. So obviously CSU looking after the academic subject side and IT Masters looking after the industry side. What that does mean is from the industry side of those subjects, we can vouch and say that our those subjects are led by industry professionals that work within the industry, that have that experience and that sort of passion and drive to teach students what they know and what they've learned in their experience as well. So you're definitely getting an industry first subject through the IT Masters delivery side of things as well as the CSU side subjects. Um, yeah, a lot of it is made in mind with that focus so that students are getting the benefit of those hands-on technical skills are going to benefit you from an employment perspective where you can demonstrate the technical side of things and you're not just walking away with a university degree. It's far more hands-on than that.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the photos here on the screen of those three people. If I look at those, two of those people studied with us. One actually has a doctorate through Charles Sturt after doing a number of degrees with IT Masters. Another one is the head of cyber security at a large electricity distribution company. One is working in as a consultant in IT and cybersecurity risk, and in fact has some papers written on AI as well, and advises companies on AI risk at the moment as a consultant. But he actually worked for some years at one of the biggest shopping centre providers in Australia and managing their cybersecurity risk. The other person that's on the screen is somebody who has a very deep background in everything from real estate to management to IT, help desks, and IT in general. So you're getting quite a spread of opinions and experience when you get taught by our mentors. So what we do that's also a little bit different is we've thought over the last year or so a little bit more about everybody's learning pathways. And if you look at what IT masters have typically done, we've typically been speaking to people when they're midway through their careers and wanting to get ahead in their career. And we try and do our best to help people. But what we've been doing over the last 12 months is thinking about, well, how can we help people when they're first starting out? And as you'll hear a little bit later, we do a lot of free short courses. IT Masters has at any time roughly 50 something free short courses available on our website. You can just enroll in, you can do them in your own time. We also run them live 3 to 4 times a year, sometimes more. And during those live ones, you get the opportunity to be on a webinar like this and interact directly with the hosts and the lecturers. And then we put them on the website. So you can actually do quite a lot of introductory stuff with our free short courses because they do relate also back to our proper courses, if you like. Often the free short courses are a third of a subject or a section of a subject, or they're adjacent to one of our subjects. So, for example, one we did earlier this year was an update of the old CCNA certification. So quite a lot of people go to that, and then they might go on and then do the CCNA certification themselves with a little bit more work because a 4 week free short course is not going to get you through CCNA. It's a very big certification, as I'm sure many of you will know. So yeah, we're saying, if you start off doing some free short courses, getting to know what we do, how we teach, etc., you might then want to study some industry certifications yourself. And we've actually, over the course of this year, just set up a few of these on our store where you can buy the vouchers to do the CompTIA Learn programs and the CompTIA exams. And Certified Ethical Hacker, the pen testing one, has just recently been added to it as well. Over a period of time, we hope to add some more industry certifications because, as you'll see later on, industry certifications are very much built into what we do. We don't want you to be boiling the cabbage twice with what you learn in industry certs. And I'm sure that quite a number of you have some sort of industry certifications already that will that will be helpful for you as you go on in your career because they're very directly related to what you're working in. Then you might do a graduate certificate, particularly if you haven't studied before. The good thing about a graduate certificate is a way into doing a master's without having previous study experience. And you might have grown up thinking that a master's was something that you did research in. Our masters are all coursework. As we said before, they're all online. So you do your graduate certificate as a way in, and you transition into postgraduate studies that way. Then you might go on to do a graduate diploma or your master's. Along the way, you may be able to cash in your certifications for some credit, and that will reduce the amount of time it takes you to do your course. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the next couple of slides. And then later on, you might top it off with an MBA program as doing either a first or second master's and have a tech specialization along the way. So there's a number of different ways to get through and to be partnered with us, if you like, for getting your IT learning all along the way, if you're in one of the areas where what we're teaching makes a lot of sense to you. And that's basically the sort of things that we're about. We can try and expand upon that as we go along. So Nikki, what about eligibility? This used to be your area, in fact.
Thanks. Okay, so there's multiple avenues to get into a grad cert or master's course with us. The most straightforward one is if you've already got a bachelor's degree in any discipline, you are able to enter directly into the master's, or if you want to start with the grad cert first, you can do that as well. But something that I think is quite unique to what we do here is we do look at the work experience side of things more closely. So if you do have at least 2 years or more of relevant IT work experience, that will allow you entry into the graduate certificate pathway, which is often the pathway most people will start within anyway, because it allows you to get a qualification quicker for a smaller time commitment and cost. It's just the 4 subjects, gives you an idea if the course is a good fit for you. And then after getting that qualification, as most of our students will do, let's say over 90% of them will continue on to just go on to the masters after that in their preferred area of IT as well. All those subjects that you've studied in the grad cert just directly credit across. So it's not more study or more cost in the overall bigger picture, but it does allow you to get 2 qualifications. And upon finishing the grad cert initially, that will allow also a 10% alumni discount into the masters as well. So that will help reduce costs in that way too. So outside of work experience and having a bachelor's degree, if you don't have relevant IT work experience, we do have another pathway, a course that Shane mentioned earlier, the graduate certificate in computing career transition. So there's a pathway option with that, which we can assist you with more directly. Just contact us. Feel free to send through an email or give us a call directly, or complete an eligibility form through the IT Masters website, and we'll get back to you very quickly in regards to what that pathway will look like for you as well. So there's plenty of options, whether you're already in IT, career changing, upskilling, or there's plenty of options there as well. Once that process is done, all the admissions processing is done locally in the IT Masters team as well. So it is a very one-to-one service, which again is quite unique to other universities, especially other larger universities as well, in that from the first conversation through to admissions and the student experience through to graduation, you do have a very one-to-one experience for each step of the process. Even through the initial consultation and admissions, we actually put together a course plan for you so you can have those physical conversations as well as visual examples of what your study plan will look like from the onset. And as you adjust that and change that through your student experience, all members of our staff and team work with you in that one-to-one way to sort of work with you, make sure that the study outcome is the one that you're after. And it's very one-to-one. So, yeah.
Yes, I moved on to the next slide because I realized you're covering primarily what's gone on there. But to go back to the eligibility idea, that idea with eligibility, let me see if I can just go back on this. Okay. The idea with eligibility is that a lot of people are unsure about whether they're able to do postgrad study. So we really try hard to give you the options on it. And in fact, that's, as I said, that's what Nikki used to do, and somebody else called Anna now does it. So when you actually fill in the Am I eligible form, that goes directly to Anna. Anna has a look at what your resume looks like, what your previous education might look like, and then comes back to you with, yes, you're eligible, which in most cases, most people are, because most people that come to us have already got a few years work experience. And that's what it really boils down to. Then when you go along into the next phase, which is the journey, then as we said, you go through, you've got work experience into a graduate certificate, or you have university qualifications get you into a grad cert or a master's. Once you've got a graduate certificate, though, that qualifies you for the master's program. So it's really easy to go. We also do work at ways of helping you save time and cost to a certain extent on your degrees. Obviously, CSP was part of that up till now, and we're looking at other ways of doing things, which we've been doing really in different ways for the past 20 years. And the biggest one of that is about credit. Tell me more about credit, Nikki. Let me just put that. My clicker is not working. There we go.
Thanks. Um, so as Shane said, we do offer other avenues to save costs on your courses, your graduate certificates and master courses. So something again that we do that's quite unique to other universities is the amount of industry certifications that we recognise for the purposes of credit. If you've already done a lot of those industry certs, or a handful of those that are relevant to subjects that are within our courses, which in most cases they are, especially those industry-led subjects, obviously we recognise that you've already done the learning pathways and develop the competencies for that. So there's no point studying those subjects again. So as a result, again, through our eligibility team, if you have an industry certification, we assess those in real time, which is why we have so many industry certs that we do recognise for credit, as that's also something that's always changing and growing as well. So they are always being updated internally. We have an internal database of certs that we warrant for credit as well. So if you're ever in doubt, if it's a cert that you may not see on our website, again, go back to that eligibility form on the IT Masters website and just pop in an inquiry and which certs, if you want to list which certs you have, because the assessment process is done in-house. It's quite a quick and efficient process, so you'll get an outcome relatively quickly. And, you know, with subjects costing in a grad cert or master's around $4,050 a subject, for every individual credit you can get from an industry cert, as you can see, that's significant savings. A lot of the certs we have can range between 1 up to, you know, some of them 3 subject credits. So it's quite significant. If you're getting a cert that's even, you know, 2 subjects, that's still, you know, close to $1,000, sorry, close to $8,000 saving roughly. So it's worthwhile letting us know, because it's a great way to reduce study costs. So in terms of credits as well, other avenues are our free short courses that Shane mentioned before. So if you study 3 or more of our free online short courses, that warrants 1 industry subject credit as well. So again, another free way to get a $4,050 odd saving. So definitely worthwhile. In fact, what majority, if not, I'd say close to all of our students will do is just allow room for that short course credit, study your subjects and sort of, you know, let us know in the course mapping process that you'd like to do that to allow room for that credit. And then those students will either allocate that to their grad cert or their master's course, and then just allow themselves to graduate early with that credit in place ready at the end. And you can sort of chip away at those short courses as they're self-paced as well, in your own time in the background while studying your subjects. The other form of credit, which Shane will go on to explain in the next slide, is the Australian ACS certification credits that we offer. So if you are a professional level certification, that warrants 2 subject credits, and if you're a technologist level certification, that warrants 1 credit. So that's another great way to get credits as well. But I guess the idea is that because you guys are in the industry, in most cases you may have picked up some industry certs or be ACS certified as part of that process in your career as well. And then the other option is, of course, if you have already studied some postgraduate IT courses before, whether it be a grad cert or master's in another university. There might be some, you might be in a different stream, but there might be some crossover in some subjects, for example, such as project management or management if it's not specific to IT. Let us know about that. It's worthwhile still putting the question out, because you'd be surprised. We can do that credit assessment in-house and find out if that would warrant credit as well, as if those learning outcomes are met and equivalent. Then that's another great way to save money. And obviously, outside of the cost saving, it's just less study time for you as well. So it allows you to get the grad cert or master courses a lot quicker in terms of, yeah, study time and time commitment.
It is interesting because I think a lot of people don't go for all the credits they could because they actually do want to study our subjects. That's surprising. It has always surprised me, the number of people that don't take up, say, the short course credit or this one, the ACS certification. ACS certification sounds like a big deal, but it's actually not. Essentially, what you do is you send your resume and you fill in a form and you complete an interview with somebody from the ACS. And they say, yes, you've been working in the industry for a while. We've looked at what you've done. They ask you a series of questions about what projects you might have worked on, what sort of jobs you've been doing, what sort of level they are, what decisions you were capable of making, who was leading the project, all of that sort of stuff. And at the end of that, they give you a level, and it's based upon a European process called SFIA, which I can't tell you what that stands for, but essentially it's the certification framework around which they work. And anybody who meets either what they call a CT, which is a certified technician, or a certified professional, as we said, qualifies for subject credit. It costs you around about $800 for the ACS membership and the certification. And for that, you're nearly always going to get $4,000 or $8,000 worth of value back because you're going to get one or two subjects back. ACS are pretty, what would I say, honorable about that stuff. If they think there's no way you're going to get certification, they usually won't take your money up front. We've seen that happen in the past. We're actually working on a process with them to do a little bit of pre-screening so that it becomes a lot simpler as well. But essentially, the ACS certification is about the only thing I can think of, which is a 5 or 10 times dollar invested return that is as close to guaranteed as possible. If you've been working in the industry for a few years, had a few roles, done a few projects, you are pretty much certain to get at least a CT and more than likely a certified professional. I worked in IT as a sales and marketing, but I probably would qualify for at least a CT myself because I've run quite a lot of software projects as the business lead on them, apart from anything else. So, it is possible to get it, and it's a really good, really valuable certification. It's not dissimilar to being, a CPA. If you're an accountant, for example, it's that sort of level. And so we would encourage everybody to start looking at that, because if you want to save some time on our course, that's how you save some time and some money. By the way, these credits only apply to the IT Masters subjects. The industry ones that we'll talk about a little bit more, some of them apply to Charles Sturt subjects and some apply to our subjects. It depends on which ones they come from. So yeah, you've already spoken a little bit about the industry certification. Is there anything more you want to add for that? We have a big credit finder on our website. If you go to the credit area and have a look, all of the 200 plus ones that we've done, let me just click on the right thing here. All the 200 plus certifications are on our credit finder lookup program, and they will tell you which course and which subjects that the credits apply to as well. But Nikki, you used to actually do some of the credit assessments. How is it? How does the process work? We actually map them, don't we, subject by subject against the what we're giving the credit for?
Yeah, so what we do is we look at the learning pathways and how the exams are assessed for these particular industry certs, and then we do, as you said, map them across to how they meet the learning outcomes of specific CSU IT master subjects, and then decide if they're warranted from credit from there. But yeah, to your point, Shane, majority of those will fall in the IT Master Group B industry subjects, but there are quite a few that also credit across to CSU subjects in terms of the ones we've already mapped. But yeah, the credit finder is a great way to have for everyone to just have a look to see if the certs you've already got are on there, which 9 times out of 10 they probably will be, unless it's a really new one, in which case submit an eligibility form and let us know so we can assess that for you. Um, but yeah, in terms of credits as well, I guess the main thing to keep in mind, which is across the board with all universities in Australia, is there is a 50% credit rule for all courses. So if it's a grad cert, you've got 4 subjects. 50% means the max credit you can get is 2 subjects in that grad cert. If it's the masters, there's 12 subjects, so the maximum credit you can get is 6. So as you can see, with allowance for up to 50% credit through industry certs, short courses, etc., it is a really good opportunity to significantly reduce the costs of getting these courses done and time, as I sort of said before. So definitely, if in doubt, just reach out directly, do an eligibility form, or just give us a call or email, and just, yeah, put the question out there so we can let you know what the options are, because it's definitely worthwhile asking. But yeah, in terms of credit, you can expect all of the major players to be already there, which is the usual certs that you guys will often have accumulated across your careers as well. Um, the other thing is, just as long as it's, current and we can verify it through the vendor, then it's all good for the purposes of credit.
Yes, it's roughly 5 years, or it's the current version, or the version just gone, isn't it? Is the current standing, I understand.
I think so. I think there's some where it's long standing and some where it just varies because the certs can change. Not the case for, the more long standing vendors, but some of the certs can change. I mean, from past experience, maybe that's changed now, but if they've changed, yeah, it just needs to make sure that it's still a valid cert. But I think in most cases they are. Like if people have already got them a couple of years ago, it should still be valid.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I will say that there is, as far as I'm aware, no one else offers this sort of range of ways of being able to save time and money on your course, because saving time is just as important as money, I think, to most of our students. They're trying to juggle everything in their lives, and what they want to do is just get through it as
Yeah.
quickly as can. Often the
Yeah.
piece of paper is the end goal rather than the journey.
Yeah, and there's no point studying things you've already done. And I will say that I do believe that, yeah, in terms of the amount of credits that amount of industry certs we recognize would be the largest, but in also the terms of the time that we assess in real time new certs as well, is something that's quite unique that we do as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And when we say we assess it, by the way, Charles Sturt University sign off on every single one. We don't do anything without their say so. So you can rest assured that what is being given to you is a university level acknowledgement of your previous work. And then the reason we did all the the industry certs was, as I said, why keep teaching you stuff you already know when you've already been using it and had that certification for years? The other way to save a bit of time, as Nikki was suggesting before, is our free short courses. They're really good in a number of ways. It's not just that you can get a credit for actually passing 3 of them. Uh, they're good ways to test what we teach, to test the knowledge of our mentors, to test the way that we teach everything, and to get a bit of a feel for how it all works. Because the way that the free short courses are taught is not very different from the way that the main subjects are taught. There'll obviously be some differences from, in some areas, but overall, it's a very similar situation. And so that it is a really no obligation, easy way to find out what the IT Masters experience is like. You get a bit of a feel for how it works. And then at the end of it, if you've actually gone and done your study and completed 3, you can get a credit. And no, if you complete 15, you don't get 5 credits. We have had people that have actually passed, I think, over 30 exams out of we've got 50, I think, live at the moment courses, but we've probably actually run about 70 or 80 over the course of the last 10 or 12 years or so. And as you can see, there are over 620,000 people have enrolled in the course, or 620,000 enrollments have been made over the last 10 years. Most people tend to enroll in more than one. They enroll in 2, 3, 4, 5, just go through them. Even if they don't want to sit the exams and pass them, they just like to get the knowledge base through. So it does give you a whole range of topics. We do have a small number of courses that don't contribute to the 3 subject credit. They're ones that are around about things like study practice and some of the more esoteric ones. But to give you some of the ideas on the topics this year, we've had one on updating CCNA, as I said. We had one which is called Network Essentials. We had one on there was a cybersecurity one first thing in the year, which was an update of pen testing. That's right, it was an update of Pen Testing Plus, the CompTIA certification. We have just completed a few weeks ago one on blockchain, a generic sort of blockchain one, not about crypto, but about blockchain and how blockchain is useful outside of just crypto, for example. We'll be running a completely new one in around about a month or less, and that is going to be on AI and ethics and risks of AI as well. And that will feed into some other things that we're looking to do in the next year or so. So the free short courses are really valuable. We encourage everybody to go in and use them. You can enroll on them on our website. You can also just look at the videos on the Charles Sturt IT Masters YouTube site. All the videos are up there, so you can actually just read the videos, but you can actually enroll in the subjects and go through the proper process and get the exams as well. And so I suppose in the end, the IT Masters difference is just it's a sum of all that sort of stuff. We think we offer a unique university experience for people that want to study, get ahead in their careers, and do it in an environment that's encouraging and gives them a good combination of theoretical knowledge and practical practical experience delivered by people who work every day in the industry. There's a couple of our students who have given us a bit of a testimonial from what they did, and these are people that we've interviewed over the years. And Pat Jones has said, well, it was all designed for busy professionals. They were able to sit the course in the timings that were made sense for him, for example. And Keelan also had a really good experience with it. So and obviously we're going to highlight those experiences at the moment, but overall, I think our results speak for that. As I said, we tend to have very high rates of people passing. We have quite high rates of people performing quite well, particularly even in subjects where it's not just IT Masters students, so they're competing with other students from other Charles Sturt University courses that are similar, but have the same subjects, for example. And I think it's all those things that tell you what it is about us that makes a difference to people who want to continue studying. We want to get our students through. We want to help you get there and achieve your goals so you can go on and get another job. One of the other people I spoke to when I was doing the interviews with Patrick and Keelan was somebody who actually had done a course in digital marketing. We were offering digital marketing a few years ago, and in fact, not only got the job that they were going to apply for, but then got immediately promoted into another job that they hadn't considered they were even ready for because they'd done the course along the way. So we're always got an eye on what's the end goal is. What's the course going to give you? A better job, better pay, a new job, something like that, and as well as experience in the field you're at. That's our aim. We'd like to do all of that. Now, we haven't had really any questions tonight. Is there anything that anybody would like to ask? Because otherwise we can wrap up reasonably early. I will say that Nikki is one of the people that can answer your questions when you ring our phone line. She advises students, helps you prepare course maps. It might seem like there's quite a lot of complexity to some of the stuff around certifications and the rest, and there certainly are different rules and requirements, and that's what people like Nikki are there for, to help you work your way through and to plan it all out. Asada's asked a question about Master of Project Management. Yes, we have a Master of Project Management. What specifically would you like to know? Or you can actually have a look on our website and find the Master of Project Management. The basic information is there, and then you can give us a call or send an email and speak to Nikki or Anna or Ryan or Alan, one of our other people who actually speak to the students and help you through the process of applying and doing what you need to do. The question hasn't come up yet, but we will be putting a recording of this
I'll
on
pop
the
a
IT
link.
Masters. Sorry?
I'll just pop a link in for the Masters of Project Management if that helps
Excellent.
for Assad, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah, feel free to reach out directly with any questions. If anything's confusing or you're uncertain, especially with the credit stuff, as Shane said, we do the heavy lifting. So don't stress, we do all the mapping for you and with you to align with what your study goals are and yeah, basically what you want your course to look like, because there are so many electives that you can choose from, which is another great quality within these courses. So there's flexibility in building the course for it to be what's going to be worthwhile for your sort of upskilling or your personal interest as well.
It sounds like Assad might have another question because he momentarily whipped his hand up. So hopefully we'll get that through. But look, feel free to give us a ring, fill in an eligibility form, write, speak to one of the people. You may already be speaking to one of our course advisors along the way, in which case I'm sure they'll be steering you in the right direction. But yes, I think we'll give it about another minute or so, and if there's no more questions, we'll probably call it for that. I really would like to thank all of you for allowing us to come into your studies or homes this evening, as always, and to, you know, find out and be interested in what it is that IT Masters offers to our students and our graduates. We're looking forward to having a big rest of the year and an even bigger 2026. We have some exciting announcements that we should have by the end of this year that will tell us a little bit about some new courses and some additional options on some of the courses that we already have. So we think that'll be a good era ahead for us coming into it. We haven't had a new course for a few years now, so it's about time that we had something new, and we're excited about implementing that. But as I said, if there's no more questions, I'd really like to say thanks, Nikki, for coming along, making yourself available tonight. Oh, here we go. Eric, I'd like to study cybersecurity and yes, that's right. Eric, it sounds like you're speaking to either Nikki or one of our other people, Alan or the rest. And yes, you would need to study a graduate certificate first because you're probably not eligible to get into the Master of Cybersecurity. But then you would study for the graduate certificate, then all of those subjects would take you into the Masters. So it doesn't actually cost you any more to do that path. It's the same pathway you would do anyway. And in fact, by doing a graduate certificate first, you would then save 10% on your master's subjects when you go into it because you're then an alumni of Charles Sturt, and there is a small discount for being an alumni. So I would have another chat to whoever you've been speaking to already. In fact, we'll find out who they are and we'll get to they told you to study the graduate certificate in computing? That would probably be because you don't have cybersecurity expertise. However, be assured, in the graduate certificate in computing, you can study virtually the same subjects as you can in the cybersecurity graduate certificate. And that will also get you into the other one. That'll get you into the masters eventually as well. I will get whoever you've been speaking to give you a ring back. It'll be on our record somewhere, and they'll talk to you a little bit more about it. But yes, the graduate certificate in computing pathway is there for people who haven't been already in the industry, and it gets you fired up with it. It doesn't take you any longer. It's not like you have to do a grad cert in computing and then another grad cert and then a master's. You can go straight from the grad cert in computing into the Master of Cybersecurity, assuming that you pass and your results are okay and all of that sort of stuff. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what you can do. You can choose you're on the right path. That is exactly right, Eric. You are on the right path. I'm not sure what Assad is asking us to guide him on, but yes, it would be great if you would like somebody to give you a call. We will give you a call, Assad, and somebody will talk to you about the Master of Project Management with you as well. But yeah, again, I think that's probably it for this evening. Thank you so much. And Assad, yep, we'll get Nikki to give you a call tomorrow if you're not already speaking to somebody else. And Eric will get somebody to give you a call as well. Anybody else, please feel free to ring in or email or have a chat to us, and we will try and give you the best possible advice we can. Have a great evening. I hope we haven't interrupted your dinner too much, and get back to your family and friends and have a great night. Thank you so much from us.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.